Good morning, folks, and welcome. I will give everybody a couple minutes to file in, and then we will get started. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. This is Sarah Deitch. I'm a customer success manager with Skybits. And on behalf of myself and the entire Skybits team, we want to welcome you all to the final session of office hours. Weeks 1, 2, and 3 are available on the Skybits YouTube channel. So please head on over to YouTube, go to the Skybits channel and subscribe. We have lots of content there, not just our training sessions, which we did a full session of back in the spring, kind of A to Z on how to use Smart Tank. But there's also a lot of content that Skybits provides, from our product managers to our sales team to our customer success team. So please don't hesitate to just watch as many videos as you feel necessary. So weeks 1 and 2 were led by our sales engineer, who went over the new user interface as well as our dispatch add-on. And last week we heard from our customer engagement team, and they discussed the 3G technology refresh campaign that is underway as we speak. All of that's pretty important content. The new UI is going to be released, as well as the 3G campaign, like I said, is ongoing right now. So please give those videos a watch. They're on YouTube. Just a few housekeeping items before we dive in. Everyone has been muted on your entrance to the WebEx, so you don't have to worry about muting yourself. If you have muted yourself and you'd like to ask a question later, you're going to have to unmute yourself. We can't do that for you. We have factored in time for question and answer. So as the presenter goes through his material, we will then, stop at the end there and ask what we'll answer your questions. You can raise your hand during the presentation. You certainly can. I'd probably do this so I don't forget my questions. I would type them in the question section, or you can type them in the chat section. Either way, we'll get to them. And again, all sessions are being recorded. So if you miss something, I know everybody's sitting at their desktop, maybe doing some work. If you miss something, you can always go back and replay it. So please feel free to do that when we're done. And most importantly, I know everyone wants to know about the DoorDash coupon. Once we wrap the session, we'll then gather the information we need to and email everyone who has attended the full session with their DoorDash coupon. If you do need assistance with that, once you've received it, there are 2 ways you can do that. There's a phone number on the email that we send to you. There's also a video on how to use the DoorDash coupon. So please feel free to utilize those resources if you are not sure on how to use the DoorDash coupon. So let's get to today's content. My colleague, Craig Graham, is going to be running today's session. Today, he's going to discuss the Smart Tank portal, specifically looking at how to leverage the reporting section to be most efficient with your tanks. So everyone, please help me welcome Craig.
Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate it. Good morning, everybody. And as Sarah said, we'll be going through the report, looking at how to create them again, as well as looking at the report to provide you some insight on how this can help you in your day-to-day operations. We'll be going through 4 of the 5 reports. I say that because one of the reports also has the same information more detail on a more detailed report. So we're just going to look at that, but if you want to use the one report, you are more than welcome to set that up. And then we'll also be going through what we call an efficiency report, just to kind of show you how efficient you are in delivering product to a specific tank or a group of tanks, depending on how you would like to set that up on your own. So to get started, as you can all see my screen right now, there is our tank screen. I'm using one of our demo sites so that it will change screens a little bit faster for you, being on the legacy portal here. So the first thing that you do is you pull up all your tanks and you're looking at your tank grid. Up here in the left-hand corner, you see a tab called Reports. You click on the tab for Reports and it will open another window for you. And in that process, I'll give you a minute for the screen to change on your end. You will see all the reports that you've either already created, or it'll be a blank screen with just the Add New Report button over on the right-hand side. If it is a blank screen, then all you have to do is click on Add New Report. And when you do that, a report screen will pop up with the 5 different types of reports, canned reports that we currently have. Now, on each of these reports, we have specific columns that we have said, as a canned report, we think these 5, 6, 7 columns need to be on this report because it's very important. Now, you can also include your columns on the report from your grid view if you would like. Otherwise, there is a box here on the report screen that you can uncheck to remove those so that all you see is what we felt was important to be on those reports. As a common best practice, I usually will keep all of my all of my columns on my report. So I usually keep that button checked. It just helps in case you have more detail for your tank specifically than what we thought would be good for those reports. Again, we only put maybe 5 to 7 columns on each report, and you may want some additional columns to be able to see them as well during the review of that spreadsheet when it comes out. So I would always keep that on as a best practice. But to start your report, you would give it a name. So here we can say this is the usage report, and we will say that is the name. We will select the TVP. Now, if you haven't learned how to do TVPs, what a TVP is really a saved filter. And so there is a video from the spring sessions that goes through all the ways to create a TVP so that you can save that filter. You can kind of narrow it down to what you're looking for. So on a usage report, say that you just wanted to have usage for a certain region or a certain route or a certain group of tanks. You can create that TVP by the filtering option within SmartTank. Once you do that, you would save that TVP, and then in your Select a TVP section, it would list that for you. So you would be able to select that. So in this case, I'm just going to select my demo tanks for reports because that's the one that I've created for this demo. And then I want to do a usage report. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the usage radio button for that to be able to create my usage report. So as you see, there is an inventory, a usage, a delivery, a level alarms, and a maintenance alarm report. Now, if I select the usage, and then I say, you know what day I want to include my TVP columns, as I was talking about earlier. You can uncheck that if you only want the columns we've selected, or again, you can leave it leave it checked, and all of your columns that you have on your grid view will also show up. So some of them might be duplicated in the columns that we selected, but the first 5 to 7 columns are always what we say has to be on this report. After those columns, then it's whatever's on your grid view will show up as well. So in this case, I want the report to start today. You cannot go on a previous day in the past. You can only do it today or a day in the future. Your date range option here, you have options to choose from. You can say, I just want one day, so I want it daily. Every day, I just want one day to show on these reports. Or I want a 7-day report, which will come to me every 7 days, and it'll give me every day in that 7-day period, so on and so forth on down the list. I'm going to select a 7-day date range, and then that date range will change down here, and it will tell me, okay, now it's from 11/10 through 11/16. The reports give you for the previous period. It does not give you anything in the future as a guess or an estimate as to what might come. It will give you the previous 7 days, the previous 14 days, the previous quarter, those type of things. So always keep that in mind when you're doing it. Generate no earlier than. What that means is that you come in at 7 o'clock in the morning. You know that all your tanks, first thing during the day, their first call is usually sometime mid-early, morning from 12 a.m. to 5 a.m. It's somewhere in there that your tanks call in. So you know that most of them will call in by that time. I get in at 7. I want that report in my email box by 7 a.m. So I'm going to say, let's make sure that it runs no earlier than 6 a.m. That way at 6 a.m., I know that I'm going to get the majority of the first calls for that tank so that I get the most recent reading on my tanks. As this is very important for most of you in the matter for dispatching, for making sure that you're able to set up your maintenance folks for the day, for your truck drivers for the day, for anything that someone may need to just run out there and check on a tank, on a monitor, that you have that most recent data first thing in the morning. So you do that. Again, Central Time, you can pick your time zone, whatever it is, daylight savings time, and recurring. Recurring is important because if you want this report to send you every 7 days or daily, whichever you set it up as, if you want it to continue to do that, that box must be checked. Now, we default it to being checked so that, it will always be a recurring report. But if you only want it to run today, you just want to check things and have it run today, then you don't need to have that checked. Or if you get tired of it running and you only want to do it every so often, you can uncheck that box and just come in and run that report on demand when you want it. The next report date is just going to be a grayed out field because it goes by the 7 days. So on 11/25, it will run again. Your recipient is you as the user. Now, this is just an or functionality. It's not an and or functionality. So if you're wanting to create this report for, say, your boss, what you can do is remove your name from up here and put your email or your boss's email under the or section. And that will then send an email to your boss rather than you. If you want you to also get that report, once you create the report, you can go back and copy this report and then just add your name in there. You can only do one or the other. So if you want additional reports, you can create as many of these as you want to send them to whoever, or you can just have it sent to you And then in your email box, you can create the rules and the forward information to a group of people or something of that nature. So that is a limitation of the reporting system right now. As we move into 2022 and the new UI and the reporting and everything that will go with that, there will be some customizable type reports, which will make it a little easier to be able to send to multiple people. The only file format that we currently have is Excel. So that will always come to you in Excel. The next section down says method of report delivery, a link or an attachment. I will always tell you as a best practice, do not do the link, do the attachment. You can keep it as a link if you want, but also make sure that you have the attachment box checked. That attachment box means that you are getting the actual Excel file for that report. If you just leave it as a link, that link will come to you only. And if our server, for whatever reason, may be down the day that you're trying to access that report, you won't be able to access that report until that server comes back up. So it's always best to have that attachment just to make sure that you're able to see the report when and whenever you want to. The next section down is unit of measure. Again, here it depends on what you want to see these in. Normally, if your unit of measure on the website is gallon and inches, you're going to want to see it gallon and inches. But there's a whole bunch of other units of measure, as you see when you're setting up tanks on the website. Now, the next box down is called enable, and that just means that you can have this report enabled. It will always be active until you uncheck that box. Once you uncheck the box, the report is inactive and it will not show up on that report list that you saw when we clicked on the report button. So that you can always go back and re-enable it. If you do uncheck that box, you can always go back in and create, or not create, but re-enable that report so that it comes back and you're able to see it on the report screen for all your boxes. So then what you would do is you would just hit the save button once you have all that done. And as it saved at the top of the screen, you will see a change that says, hey, the new report now has been created successfully for you. And that will pop up here shortly. There you go. And once that's there, you now know that you have this new report. And down here at the bottom, you see copy report, as I talked about. If you want to copy it, create a report, you want to change the person that it's going to, you can do that here. Or you can hit generate now. And what that generate now button does is it will automatically do that report right now. It's not going to wait 7 days for the next report to come out. You wanted to create this report today to see it. So your first thing that you need to do is make sure you hit generate now so that you get that report. Creating the report does not automatically activate that report for today. So you have to go in and hit generate now so that you see it. What that will do is that will open up and start processing that report on our servers. And we will then send you an email as soon as that report is generated. Sometimes the bigger the report, the bigger the number of tanks, the longer it does take for the reports to generate. The smaller number of tanks, the quicker you will usually get those generated. So that's kind of why I said in the beginning, if you want that report by 7 a.m., make sure it's running by 6. So that it's got an hour to process and send the email off to your email box, depending again on the size and number of tanks that you have out there. Okay, now just that's how you do any of these inventory, usage, delivery, level alarms, or maintenance alarms report. To do that, this is what one of the reports will look like. So give it a minute here and my screen will change for you. And you'll be able to see here what a usage report will look like. It's almost there, so bear with the screen change here. Having some weather issues where I'm at today, so things are a little slower. Okay, it looks like you guys can all see my screen at this point. So what you're looking at here is what the usage report will look like. So out of this usage report, it's giving you the first columns here are columns that we have said need to be on this report. So we like the tank name, the product name, the location of this tank, the available capacity in gallons, what's available in that tank, and the volume alarm status of that tank. So we say these first 5 columns are very important to you to know where this tank is at, so you have a good idea of what's going on. So now you look over here at the next few columns. Now this is the day totals, and actually on this report I did a 14-day. So it gives me 14 days of usage. So as you can see let's just look at line 12, and that is unit 312128. It's Chevron product, and it's had usage. It's at Black Creek Lake, and there's 370 gallons available to be able to put into this tank. And we're saying that the volume-wise, we're okay. We're not in critical low. We're not in low alarm yet. So we're doing okay on this tank. The period total for this 14 days is that they have used 836 gallons of product out of that tank over a 14-day period. It gives you each day how many gallons were actually used on a daily basis. If you look at some of these smaller figures, 0.07 and 0.78 of a gallon, that's just telling me that there was either some pressure in the tank or the reading just was, there's something built up in the tank and it just kind of showed extra or showed some usage for the day, even though truly 0.78 compared to your other days, you're probably looking at saying, okay, that I used 30 gallons here and I only used not even a gallon here. So just note that some of these smaller numbers are something with build up of pressure in the tank or something of that nature that we really didn't use product those days. So on average, you can kind of go through this and see that most days you're looking at 80 to 100 gallons of product being used. And the negative number that you see here can also tell you that again, it's probably a pressure that built up and it burped and it caused the sensor to just read a little bit lower than what should be in the tank. So it's not an issue with the sensor. It's just built up inside the tank, the pressure inside the tank. This being a gas tank, I think it's a gas tank, either that or oil, one or the other, and it would build up that pressure for you. So you can see each day what has been used. It gives you an average per day. So as you can see, the average during the 14-day period was 59.73 gallons. And if you just scroll down, you see the same thing happening with the other sections that had product being used. So some of these tanks use 10 gallons a day. That one looks to be one of the ones that have used the most per day. So you can kind of just run through this list, see if there's anything usage-wise that stands out that you may need to look at, that these tanks, that maybe this tank here that was an average of 6.3, or actually, let's just go back up to the 59. And let's say this one here at 199 may stand out to you that, normally they're only using 50 gallons a day. So what happened on this day? Did we have an issue out at the tank or at the monitor? Did somebody leave a valve on? Did we just have a very high usage for that day? So those are some of the things that this type of report will help you look at and determine, do I have an issue with that tank? Is there something going on where you have a couple of days in here that you have over 100 gallons a day? Most of the time it's in the 50 range or below. So why do we have those days? Do we need to work with the customer? Do we need to get a larger tank? You know, those type of things that if you're seeing usage and you're seeing deliveries, which is another report that we do, going up, those are just things that will help alert you to the fact that maybe there's something else that we need to talk about with the customer to make sure that we're being as efficient as possible in getting product out there, keeping product out there, and making sure that the customer is satisfied with what they're getting out of this. So that is your usage report. The next report I'm going to bring in is one called the delivery report. And that one will be coming in shortly. So we'll see that here in just a second. Should be popping in here any second. There we go. So now the delivery report is a little bit different. Kind of gives you the same thing, same information up front: your tank name, your product name, the location, how much capacity is available, and the alarm status. And then your period total for deliveries per day. How many deliveries have been done to this tank? Again, I did this over a 14-day period. So it tells you how many deliveries were there, and it gives you an average over the time period, how many deliveries you made. Now, the next section over is another very important section. This will give you how many gallons per delivery did you make or did you send. So as you can see, let's just look at this one that has 720 gallons that were delivered. You can see on day 4 of this time, on 11/5, it was 249 gallons that we delivered. And then in 6 days later, we delivered another 471 gallons, which gave us that total. And then on average, we're at the daily average that we would have delivered if we delivered this daily would have just been 51 gallons. So you can see that you delivered 2 times and how many gallons each. So this can kind of go back. Now remember, this is not Smart Tank is not exact on delivery gallons, so you cannot invoice off of this, but this gives you a good general idea to be able to say, okay, we were pretty close on what we delivered, on what we were supposed to deliver to that customer. And in here as well, you could see that if I'm delivering daily to this tank, is the tank, again, is it the right size tank? Is it something that maybe we need to get a larger tank out there or another tank out there on site, depending on size restrictions and stuff at that site. So these are just things that you can look at when you're looking at these reports to help you understand a better idea of what's going on. How often are we delivering? How much are we delivering? How much are they using? And as you can see, this tank being the 51.46 on a daily average, that's pretty close to what they're using, because I think this was the exact same tank that was using about 50 some gallons a day. So that's good. But, you know, on certain other tanks, if it's a fast mover, maybe the tank size is not right, and we need to adjust that tank size. One of the other reports that we have that you can do is called our level alarm report. And that level alarm report, we'll pop that up here shortly. And what it does is it just provides you all the tanks that are in your alarm status. So is it a critical low alarm status? Is it in low alarm status? Those type of things. So as you look at this report, as it pops up here, it will provide you, again, your tank name, your product name, your location, capacity, and your volume alarm status. And it will now tell you, here's what tanks are in my low alarm or my critical low alarm status. And it'll give you the date of those calls. Now, again, on some of these, they're pretty old dates, but that's just because this is a demo organization. So, but you might find that, hey, I still have this tank out there from 2016 that's in critical low alarm status. Do we really have that out there? Is it sitting out there somewhere at this customer? Do we need to go look for it? If it's, as this one is, you can see it's sitting in a receiving location. So maybe we did that, but nobody took this off of our website yet. Nobody requested a deactivation or something, so it's still sitting on the website, but we don't want to see it. It's really just sitting in my stock location. So these are things that you can see by these older dates as well. Low alarm status, it gives you your critical high, your high alarm. It also will give you your rate change alarm if you have that set up. Fill event, so it'll tell you if it's filled. Call out on percent change if you have that set, reorder alarm, and your safety stock alarm. So those are your columns that you would see, and everything I've highlighted in yellow on all my sheets are my grid view columns, just so that you know that that's kind of where they start. It always starts after what report columns are most pertinent to this report. So the delivery report, the usage report, to me are two very, very good reports. You can kind of, if you know Excel well, you can, what I say, marry those two together and kind of give you an idea if you put them together side by side. Here's my usage for this tank. Here's what we delivered for this tank. So it kind of gives you a good idea, usage and delivery. That is a report that we are currently working on to make available as a customized report when our new system, a new reporting software or new reporting system actually gets put out there. So it's just a nice type of thing to be able to do, put it into Excel, put them side by side and get a good idea of usage and deliveries to each individual tank out in the field for you. We also have what's called an efficiency report. Now, this efficiency report is the only report that is not run through the actual report tab. The efficiency report is a report, has a tab itself on the column view of the website. So when you're looking at your grid view for all your tanks, there is a button called efficiency report. And that efficiency report will tell you how efficient am I being. There is, again, a video from the spring that goes through on how to create that report. But in this case, I already created it for you. It spits this out into Excel. It gives you all your tanks that you're looking at. And if you scroll all the way over to the right, it then tells you at AS column, in this case, is average delivery cost, which is the $100 I put in as a sample. But you would know your delivery cost best, your average delivery cost per delivery. You would put that dollar amount in as a whole, and then you would also put in your delivery efficient target. How efficient do you want to be? So in this case, I put in 70%. So you're looking at this, and out of those two parameters, it's telling you that you made, for this one specific tank, 13 deliveries. And if you were to meet your 70% efficient target, you would only had to do 7 deliveries. So that's telling you that, you could have dropped that by 6 deliveries to be much more efficient or to meet your 70% efficiency target. Your average days between delivery is 4.5 days. Your target volume that we say you should be delivering to be 70% efficient is 700 gallons. Your average delivery volume was actually 354 gallons. So that's just telling you that basically you are really only 35.5% efficient in delivering to this tank. After that, we go into some cost savings for you. We can tell you that your actual cost per volume on that $100 is 28 cents per gallon. The target cost should have been 15 cents per gallon to meet that 70%. So it's telling you that you could have saved, if you would have been 70% efficient, you could have saved $600 on that one tank. So it really gives you a breakdown of how efficient am I doing, and if I get to my target, how much money could I have saved? And so to me, it's a very telling report. Again, it's something you can do on your own through the system on your grid view. And if you need the video on it, please go to the YouTube site and you can pull up the report section, report video that we did back then, and it will walk you through setting that up. You can also call customer support, and they can help you do that. Or if you have an assigned CSM, reach out to them as well, and they can walk you through how to set this up if you want to start looking at something in that nature. Other than that, I think on reporting, I'm going to go ahead and close it out. That please use those 5 reports. They're very important, very detailed as to what you can get on those reports, and it should help you manage your day-to-day a little bit better, especially on your low alarms or your maintenance reports, where you can get tanks that are not calling in properly, and you're having issues at the tank level to get your maintenance folks set up and ready for the day to go out and check different tanks. So go through the reports, play with them. You can't break it. So, all you're going to do is create a report and see what it looks like for you and see how it helps you in your daily job. And thank you for your attentiveness, and I'll turn this back over to Sarah now for some questions and closing.
Thank you, Craig, very much. We did have one question, but it was answered. It was good morning from Gavin. Thank you. I don't see any other questions right now, but I'm sure people have some. Thank you for your presentation, Craig. It was really thorough, very informative. So anybody else have questions? Don't see any. All right. So with that, I will close the session. I just want to make sure anyone who needs questions answered would have them typed in. I don't have anything. All right. Again, thank you, Craig, so much.
Yep.
There's a question. Okay. Will there be future functionality to get a report at a specific time versus created by?
I guess I would ask, what do you mean by that? That this by created by time frame? You can go in and run these reports whenever you want. They are, once you create it, they are there for you to go back in and run it. Just hit the generate now button anytime throughout the day, and you'd be able to pull that report for the most recent information. So yes, if you don't want to wait 7 days for that report and you need something to pop up right now just to get an idea of what's going on, you can go back in and hit the generate now to create that report right then and there for you.
Right. Thank you. Amber, I hope that answered your question. I was going to unmute you, but you're self-muted, so I can't do that. And then from Michelle Perry, are all of the 3G units going away? To really quickly give some information on that, we did an entire presentation last week, Michelle. So on the YouTube channel, there is a presentation about the 3G sunset, both AT&T and Verizon. The AT&T sunset is looming, right? So it's early next year in February. Verizon's is later next year. If you wanted to just kind of refer to that YouTube video, you will get all the information you could possibly need. So are they going away? You'll still have them in your account, but they do need to be replaced. So we do give you full instruction on how to do that. And it's a pretty self-serve video, so it'll tell you exactly what you need to do. And then you'll be able to contact your salesperson to get any orders started if you need to. So I hope that answered your question, Michelle. Any other questions? All right. Thank you again, Craig. I'm just going to keep my eye on the.
You're welcome.
Thank you again for your presentation. I want to thank everybody for attending this session as well as the others. As I had mentioned, this is the last of our group of 4. So we will be back next year with some more content. And what I encourage you to do is if there's anything that we missed or haven't covered that you're really interested in learning about, please, you have some email references, referral emails. When you get your email about the sessions, you can refer back to that email and say, hey, I have some ideas, send us some information. We'll consider those and put them into a WebEx and hopefully, get you what you need. Otherwise, again, please, I'm always going to do over and over because we do have the entire Smart Tank website covered in a training. So you can go from A to Z with our videos. They're hour-long each, done by the different customer success managers. And we have some other guest speakers that come in and help us out as well. 3G, super important. That's on YouTube, and we covered that last week. And we want to thank you. Truly, you're our partners, and you help us, keep this going. So please reach out with any future content. If you have questions, please reach out to telemetry support, to a customer success manager, or to your salesperson. And we'll be happy to help you out with whatever you might need. DoorDash coupon will be arriving about 30 minutes post ending of this session. And we thank you again. Have a happy Thanksgiving, and we will see you in the new year.